Turning 70 is a milestone I never expected to arrive at so quickly. One day, I was in my 20s, full of energy and plans for the future. The next, I woke up in a body that was a little slower, my mind more reflective, and my priorities shifting in ways I hadn't imagined. It's a strange feeling, realizing that the years behind you are more than the ones ahead. But rather than feeling fear or regret, I've come to embrace this stage of life with a sense of peace I never knew was possible. As we age, we naturally begin to see the world differently. Time no longer feels endless, relationships change, and we become more selective about how we spend our time. But with these changes comes a quiet freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to protect our peace, and to focus on what truly matters. It's a freedom that allows us to shed the weight of unnecessary obligations and to embrace a simpler, more meaningful way of living. I've come to realize that some of the choices I make now aren't just about avoiding things that drain me, but about making room for the things that fill me with joy and purpose. This chapter of life isn't about racing toward the next achievement. It's about appreciating the small, everyday moments that make life worth living. It's about knowing when to step back, when to say no, and when to cherish the solitude that allows for true reflection and peace. In this reflection, I'll share how turning 70 has brought me to a place of understanding about time, relationships, trust, and personal boundaries. I'll explore the joys of solitude, the importance of embracing this phase with open arms, and why, at this age, avoiding the wrong people has become a powerful act of self-care. I invite you to take a moment with me to reflect on what it means to live authentically and fully at this stage of life. Because no matter where you are in your journey, the freedom to choose what truly matters is one of the greatest gifts of all. 1. Time feels more precious than ever. Turning 70 has changed the way I see time. In my younger years, time felt endless, something I could waste without a second thought. I filled my days with errands, conversations, and obligations that didn't always bring me joy. I thought staying busy meant I was living fully. But now, with decades behind me and a clearer sense of what really matters, I see time differently. It's no longer something to spend carelessly. Every hour, every minute feels like a gift, something I want to savor, not squander. At this stage in life, time becomes more than just numbers on a clock. It becomes something you feel. It shows up in the quiet morning light that creeps through the blinds as I sip my coffee in silence. It's in the slow walks I take around the neighborhood where I notice the change of seasons in the color of the leaves. It's in the stillness of the evening when I reflect on where I've been and what I've learned. These aren't moments to rush through. They're the moments that matter most now. I used to think a full calendar meant a full life. I said yes to everything: birthday parties, volunteer events, meetings, lunches. But somewhere along the way, I realized that being busy all the time didn't leave space for what really nourished me. It left me drained. These days, I choose carefully how I spend my time and who I spend it with. I don't feel guilty saying no to things that don't serve me anymore. Instead, I protect my time like the treasure it is. That doesn't mean I don't value relationships. I do, now more than ever. But I've learned that it's not about how many people you know. It's about the depth of those connections. I'd rather share a quiet conversation with one close friend than sit in a room full of acquaintances who don't truly know me. Time has taught me to prioritize quality over quantity in every part of life, especially when it comes to relationships and how I spend my days. Letting go of obligations, regrets, and outdated expectations has brought me a surprising sense of peace. I no longer feel the need to explain why I'd rather stay home than go out. I've accepted that not everything is worth my time, and that's not selfish, it's wise. The older I get, the more I appreciate the freedom that comes from living intentionally. Time may be moving faster now, but I no longer chase it. I walk beside it, and in doing so, I've discovered a quiet kind of happiness that feels more meaningful than anything I ever experienced when I was rushing through life. At 70, every moment is more than just a tick on the clock. It's a chance to live with purpose, with clarity, and with deep appreciation for the time I still have. 2. Relationships change, and so do we. As the years go by, one of the hardest but most important lessons I've learned is that relationships change, and so do we. In our younger days, we often pour our energy into keeping up with everyone. We remember birthdays, show up for every event, and try to hold all the pieces together. We want to be the dependable friend, the helpful neighbor, the ever-present family member. For a long time, I believed that being available to everyone was what made me a good person. But as I've grown older, I've come to understand that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that's not something to feel guilty about. At 70, I've found that some connections grow stronger with time, while others simply fade. It's not always because of conflict. Sometimes people change, priorities shift, or life pulls us in different directions. There was a time when I felt a deep sadness over these losses, wondering what I could have done to hold on tighter. But now, I view them differently. Some people come into our lives for a reason, others for a season, and a few, the most cherished, stay for a lifetime. Learning to recognize which is which has brought me a greater sense of peace. We also change within ourselves. I'm not the same person I was at 40 or even 60. My needs are different. My idea of meaningful connection has evolved. I no longer have the energy or desire for relationships filled with drama, judgment, or one-sided effort. Instead, I seek out people who bring calm, who share joy, and who respect my boundaries. I've learned that real friendships don't drain you. They fill you up. They leave you feeling understood, not used. Some of these realizations came through hard moments, times when I gave too much to people who couldn't give back, or trusted those who didn't value that trust. These experiences hurt, but they taught me the importance of protecting my peace. I now know how to recognize red flags, and I've learned to say no without guilt. I've stopped trying to force connections that no longer fit the person I've become. That said, I still sometimes feel a wave of nostalgia for the people I've grown distant from. A close friend I haven't seen in years, a family member whose path has veered away from mine. Those memories are bittersweet, but I try to hold on to the good in them. They were part of my journey, and I'm grateful for the time we shared. At this stage, I don't chase relationships. I nurture the ones that feel right. I surround myself with people who respect my time, share my values, and offer mutual kindness. My circle may be smaller now, but it's stronger. And in that, I've found a deeper sense of connection than I ever had when I was trying to keep up with everyone.
If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward.
3. Trust becomes more complicated. With age comes wisdom, but also a deeper understanding of how delicate trust truly is. In my younger years, I believed in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I was quick to trust, open with my heart, and eager to believe that most people had good intentions. But life has a way of showing you both the beautiful and the painful sides of human nature. Over time, I've faced betrayals and disappointments that made me more cautious, not bitter, but wiser. At 70, trust isn't something I give freely anymore. It's something that must be earned. There's a reason for this shift. I've been let down by people I thought would never hurt me. Sometimes it was a close friend who slowly stopped caring, or a relative who drifted away just when I needed them most. Other times, it was someone who took my kindness for granted, assuming I'd always be there no matter how little they gave in return. These moments left a mark, not just on how I view others, but on how I protect myself now. That protection doesn't mean I shut people out. It means I listen to my instincts more carefully. I've learned to trust my gut when something doesn't feel right. I've learned to set firmer boundaries, even if it makes others uncomfortable. And I've learned that protecting my peace is more important than maintaining a relationship that leaves me anxious, used, or unsure. But trust isn't just about others. It's also about learning to trust yourself. That's something I didn't fully grasp until my later years. It means believing in your judgment, even when others don't understand your choices. It means giving yourself permission to step away from toxic dynamics, even if those ties run deep. It means recognizing that your well-being matters just as much as anyone else's, and sometimes more. Even now, I struggle with the balance. I want to stay open to new people, to believe in kindness and connection. And sometimes the world surprises me. A neighbor checks in during a storm. A stranger offers a helping hand without expecting anything in return. These moments remind me that while trust is harder to come by, it hasn't disappeared. It's still possible to build relationships grounded in respect and sincerity. So yes, trust has become more complicated, but it has also become more meaningful. The people I trust now are few, but they are precious. I don't take their loyalty or love for granted. I hold those bonds close, and I invest in them with care. If someone has earned my trust, it's because they've shown consistency, kindness, and respect, qualities I no longer overlook or assume. At this age, trust isn't about putting up walls. It's about building healthy boundaries, staying true to yourself, and letting in only what uplifts you. And in doing so, I've found a peace that feels well-earned. The world feels different. Now at 70, I often look around and wonder where the world I once knew has gone. It's not just that the pace of life has sped up, it's that everything feels different now. The way people talk to each other, how families interact, even how neighbors treat one another has shifted. When I was younger, there was a sense of closeness and community that seemed built into daily life. We knew our neighbors by name, and we stopped by each other's homes without needing an invitation. There was warmth in the way people connected, and conversations felt more personal, more present. Today, it feels like those simple connections have been replaced by fast messages, quick updates, and digital distractions. Technology has made it easier to stay in touch on the surface, but harder to feel truly connected. I'm grateful for the ability to video chat with my grandchildren or scroll through photos of old friends, but I miss the feeling of sitting across from someone, hearing the tone of their voice, watching their expressions, and sharing a moment without a screen between us. So much of modern communication feels rushed, like everyone's in a hurry to move on to the next thing, and it's not just the communication, it's the values too. The world I see now seems more focused on competition than community. Success is measured in likes, followers, and busy schedules, while things like kindness, integrity, and patience often seem like afterthoughts. When I was growing up, those qualities were at the heart of how we lived and worked together. We helped each other without being asked. We celebrated each other's milestones and supported one another in tough times, not out of obligation, but because it was the right thing to do. Now, even families can feel more distant. Everyone is busy, and visits are fewer and farther between. It's not anyone's fault. Life just seems fuller of distractions and responsibilities. But it still leaves a hole sometimes, a longing for the way things used to be. I miss sitting at the kitchen table with loved ones, not because we had anything urgent to talk about, but just because we enjoyed each other's company. That's why I often choose to step back from the noise. I turn off the TV, put my phone away, and go for a quiet walk or sit outside and listen to the birds. These moments remind me that peace is still possible. It's just harder to find in today's world. I'm not against change. I understand that every generation sees the world evolve, but I hold on to the values that shaped me, and I hope to pass them on in small ways through the life I live each day. The world may have changed, but I don't have to lose myself in it. I've learned to carve out space for stillness, sincerity, and the kind of connection that can't be downloaded or scrolled through.
If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward.
5. Solitude isn't loneliness. When I was younger, the idea of being alone often filled me with dread. I believed that solitude was something to be avoided at all costs, a sign of loneliness or worse, of being forgotten. The thought of spending an evening by myself felt uncomfortable, even unsettling. I'd fill my schedule with social gatherings, calls, and visits to keep myself busy, thinking that being alone meant being disconnected. But as I've grown older, I've come to realize that there's a profound difference between solitude and loneliness. One can be enriching, the other draining. At 70, I've discovered that solitude is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's a choice that allows me to reconnect with myself and the world around me in a more meaningful way. In solitude, I've found a sense of peace that I never knew I needed. I've learned that it's not the absence of people that matters, but the presence of contentment in my own company. The simple moments of solitude, like sitting in the garden and feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin or watching the birds flutter around outside my window, bring a sense of calm that no crowd or party ever could. These moments are not filled with the pressure to perform or engage. They are moments of quiet reflection where I can just be. I've realized that in these moments, I find a deeper connection to myself and to the world around me. The sounds of nature, the stillness of the evening, these simple pleasures fill me in ways that busyness never did. Solitude has also given me the space to reflect. As I age, I find myself revisiting moments from the past, not out of regret, but out of gratitude for the experiences that have shaped me. I look back on my mistakes with understanding, not judgment. I find comfort in the memories of people I've loved and lost, knowing that they played a part in the person I've become. Solitude allows me to make peace with the past, to understand it more clearly, and to accept it as a natural part of my journey. This isn't to say that I've cut myself off from the world entirely. I still value the relationships that bring joy and meaning to my life. I cherish the time I spend with my family and friends, but I no longer feel the need to fill every moment with social obligations. When I do spend time with others, it's because I truly want to, not because I feel like I have to. There's a quality to these moments now that didn't exist when I was constantly trying to be everything to everyone. The conversations are deeper, the connections more genuine. Solitude has taught me to love myself in a way that no amount of external validation ever could. It's shown me that my worth isn't tied to how many people surround me or how full my social calendar is. Instead, it's about being at peace with who I am, about knowing that I am enough just as I am. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's strength. It's a choice to protect my peace and focus on what truly matters without feeling pressured by the noise of the world. And in that choice, I've found a happiness that's more enduring than I ever imagined. 6. Why I avoid people. Now, as I've grown older, I've come to understand that avoiding certain people isn't about bitterness or anger, it's about protecting my peace. At 70, I've experienced enough of life to know that not every relationship is worth the energy it takes to maintain, and not every interaction adds something meaningful to my life. This realization didn't come easily, but it's been a liberating one. After 7 decades of giving, learning, and sometimes hurting, I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, saying no, and choosing relationships that nurture my well-being rather than drain it. For most of my life, I was the kind of person who gave my time freely. I helped others, supported my family, and always tried to be the person people could rely on. I thought this was the key to living a fulfilling life. I was always busy, always doing for others, always showing up. But over time, I started to notice that I wasn't getting much in return. Some people took more than they gave, some didn't appreciate my efforts, and others seemed to only reach out when they needed something from me. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I don't need to keep every relationship alive. It's not about rejecting people. It's about choosing not to engage with those who make me feel small or unimportant. I've learned that some people bring drama into my life, and I no longer have the energy to deal with that. Others make everything about them, never asking how I'm doing or showing any genuine concern. These relationships leave me feeling exhausted and unappreciated, and that's not something I'm willing to tolerate anymore. Avoiding these types of people has been a way of protecting my time and energy. I no longer feel obligated to maintain relationships that don't serve me, relationships that take without giving. I've stopped trying to please everyone or live up to expectations that don't align with who I am now. It's been freeing to let go of the need to be needed. I've realized that it's okay to prioritize myself, to say no without guilt, and to choose solitude when I need it. That doesn't mean I've closed myself off completely. On the contrary, I value the relationships that truly matter more than ever. I've become more selective about the people I spend my time with, and I cherish the deeper, more meaningful connections that I've nurtured over the years. These are the people who show up not because they need something, but because they care. They are the ones who lift me up, who bring joy and light into my life, and I hold them close. By avoiding people who drain me, I've created space for the things that truly matter: peace, joy, and relationships that feel fulfilling. I no longer feel guilty for stepping back from social obligations or declining invitations that don't resonate with me. In fact, I've found that avoiding people who don't add value to my life has allowed me to appreciate the relationships I do have even more. As I reflect on my life, I understand that it's not about having a wide circle of friends or acquaintances. It's about having a few deep, authentic connections that bring me happiness and fulfillment. At 70, I've learned that it's okay to avoid the noise, the drama, and the people who don't add to my life. And in doing so, I've found a peace I never knew I needed. 7. Does this sound familiar? As I reflect on my life at 70, I often wonder if others my age feel the same way. Does time naturally make you more selective? Do the disappointments, betrayals, and losses of life lead us all to guard our hearts more closely and prioritize our peace? When I look back, I realize that much of my younger life was spent trying to meet everyone else's expectations. I wanted to be everything to everyone: a good friend, a reliable partner, a supportive family member, but as the years went on, I began to see how exhausting that was. I poured so much of myself into others that I often found I had little left for myself. But now, as I've entered my 70s, I've stopped apologizing for protecting my time and energy. I've stopped feeling guilty for choosing solitude over socializing or for saying no to invitations and obligations that no longer serve me. This stage of life isn't about pleasing others or keeping up appearances. It's about living authentically, doing what brings me joy, and focusing on what really matters. And while that might look different from what others expect, it's become clear to me that it's the right choice for me. The transition to this mindset hasn't been easy. For much of my life, I felt obligated to maintain relationships, even when they left me feeling drained or unappreciated. I tried to be the one who always showed up, who remembered every birthday, who was there for others no matter what. But as I grew older, I started to understand that it's okay to let go of relationships that no longer align with who I am. It's okay to stop doing things just because it's what's expected. And it's okay to let go of guilt for wanting time to myself or for choosing a smaller, more meaningful circle of friends. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you found yourself pulling away from relationships or situations that no longer serve you. Perhaps you've noticed that you value quality over quantity when it comes to the people in your life. If so, you're not alone. This stage of life is about shedding what no longer fits, whether it's old habits, toxic relationships, or societal pressures to conform. It's about making space for peace, joy, and the things that truly matter. Some might find this change difficult or even a little lonely at times, but I found that it's not a loss at all. In fact, it's a gain. It's the gift of choosing what feels right for you. I don't feel the need to chase after everything anymore. Instead, I focus on the moments and relationships that truly enrich my life. I've learned that it's okay to embrace this chapter of life with all its changes, and that it's okay to let go of what no longer serves you. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, maybe you've started making similar choices. Maybe you've chosen peace over chaos, quality over quantity, and solitude over social obligations. That's okay. This chapter of life is yours to navigate, and there's no one right way to do it. What matters is that you're living in a way that brings you contentment and peace. And as I've found, there's a deep kind of freedom in that.
If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 7 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward.
8. Embracing. This chapter. At 70, I've come to see life not as a series of endings, but as a series of beginnings. Each stage of life brings with it new challenges, lessons, and opportunities for growth, and this one is no different. As I enter this phase of my life, I've realized that it's not about rushing through the days or trying to achieve some grand final goal. Instead, it's about savoring the simple moments and embracing the peaceful rhythm of my years. When I was younger, there was always a sense of urgency, a constant push to do more, achieve more, and be more. Life felt like a race, and I was always striving to keep up. But as the years have passed, that restlessness has faded. Now I'm more focused on appreciating what's right in front of me. The days of chasing after what the world tells me I should have are behind me. I've learned that I don't need to prove anything to anyone, least of all to myself. Simply being is enough. This stage of life is about simplicity. I've learned to slow down and take the time to enjoy the things that once seemed small or insignificant. The smell of freshly brewed coffee in the morning, the sound of laughter from my grandchildren, the warmth of the sun on my face during a walk. These simple joys are now the things that anchor me, the things I treasure. I find myself more present in these moments, no longer rushing to the next task or worrying about what's coming next. But it's not just about looking at the present. It's also about looking back with gratitude. As I reflect on my life, I don't feel regret for the things I didn't do or the mistakes I made. Instead, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the experiences that have shaped me. I'm thankful for the love I've given and received, for the challenges that taught me resilience, and for the lessons I've learned along the way. Each of these moments, whether good or bad, has helped me become who I am today. Even as I look back, I still feel a quiet excitement about the future. There's so much left to learn, so much left to experience. It's not about being young again, but about embracing the freedom that comes with age. The freedom to explore new interests, to develop new skills, and to live with intention. I no longer feel the pressure to meet some arbitrary standard of success. Instead, I focus on what brings me joy and fulfillment. This chapter of life has also taught me the importance of saying no. No to obligations that drain me, no to relationships that no longer serve me, and no to the pressure of trying to be everything to everyone. Saying no has allowed me to say yes to the things that matter most: peace, love, and connection. I've learned that I don't need to keep up with anyone else's expectations. My own peace is more important than any external validation. At 70, I've learned that life is less about the big milestones and more about the small, meaningful moments that make up our days. This chapter, while different from those that came before, feels the most authentic, the most honest, and the most peaceful. Embracing this chapter means living fully and deeply, one day at a time. It's about honoring the life I've lived while remaining open to whatever comes next. And in that openness, I've found a new sense of freedom, a freedom that I never knew existed. As we age, we come to understand that life is less about chasing achievements and more about cherishing the moments that truly matter. Time, once taken for granted, becomes a precious gift, one that we learn to protect by focusing on quality over quantity in both relationships and experiences. At 70, we realize that not every relationship is meant to last, and it's okay to let go of those that no longer nurture us. Trust, too, becomes more complicated, but it teaches us to trust ourselves, our instincts, and our boundaries. This chapter of life encourages us to slow down, savor solitude, and find peace in the simplicity of everyday moments. It's a time to reflect with gratitude, appreciate the lessons learned, and let go of the past with grace. Above all, it's about embracing the freedom to live authentically, saying no when needed, prioritizing self-care, and surrounding ourselves with people who truly uplift us. Life at this stage offers the chance to focus on what brings joy, peace, and fulfillment, allowing us to live fully and unapologetically, one day at a time.
Thank you for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today, how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.